Imagine a product that causes anxiety, paranoia, and chronic high blood pressure. If this were a pharmaceutical drug, the FDA would ban it within 24 hours. But because it's called the news, you willingly dose yourself with it every single morning with your coffee. Here is the dirty secret that CNN, Fox, and the New York Times don't want you to know. They aren't in the information business anymore. They are in the outrage business. Why? Because a calm, informed citizen turns off the TV and goes outside. But an angry, terrified viewer, they stay glued to the screen waiting for the next threat. You think you're consuming facts? No. You are being farmed. Your anger is their revenue stream. And business is booming. To understand why your blood pressure spikes every time you open Twitter or turn on the TV, we have to travel back to a time when the news was, well, boring. Go back to the 1960s or 70s. You had 3 major channels. The news came on once a day at dinner time. It was delivered by guys like Walter Cronkite, men who looked like stern high school principals. They read the facts, told you the weather, and said goodnight. Here is the crucial difference. Back then, news divisions weren't expected to make money. They were loss leaders, a public service performed in exchange for broadcasting licenses. Their goal was prestige and trust, not profit. But then the model broke. First came the 24-hour cable news cycle. Suddenly, you didn't just have 30 minutes to fill, you had 1,240 minutes every single day. You can't fill 24 hours with just facts. There aren't enough facts in the world to keep people watching at 2 a.m., so they started filling the gaps with opinions, debates, and speculation. Then the internet arrived and delivered the fatal blow. Newspapers and TV stations lost their monopoly on distribution. Suddenly, they were competing with millions of blogs, tweets, and influencers for your attention. The old subscription model died. The new model was purely advertising. And this is where the trap was set. In an advertising model, truth is not the metric for success. Engagement is. If an article is balanced, nuanced, and fair, you read it, nod your head, and move on. That is terrible for business. But if an article makes you angry, if it scares you, you click, you comment, you share it to show everyone how outraged you are. The media giants realized a simple, terrifying mathematical truth. Anger travels faster than joy. Fear generates more clicks than facts. So the news stopped being a public service. It transformed into a reality TV show where the scriptwriters are trying to trigger your fight or flight response 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The boring era was over. The era of the outrage industrial complex had begun. So the business model changed. That was the spark. But the explosion happened when this new business model met the oldest vulnerability in human history. Your brain. You see, the media didn't just decide to be mean. They decided to be efficient. And to be efficient, they had to hack your biology. Psychologists call it negativity bias. Evolution wired you to pay 10 times more attention to a rustling bush that might be a tiger than to a beautiful sunset. The sunset won't kill you, the tiger will. Your brain prioritizes threats for survival. In the digital age, there are no tigers. So, the media invented new ones. This is where the glitch truly begins. In the past, human editors decided what was important. Today, the editor-in-chief of your reality is an algorithm, a piece of code with zero morality and one single instruction: keep them watching. The algorithm quickly learned that nice is boring, cooperation is dull, but conflict is gold. If a video says, "Here is a reasonable solution to a tax policy," you scroll past. But if the headline screams, "They are trying to steal your money to fund their insane agenda," you stop. You get a hit of cortisol, you click. And here is where it gets dark. The media companies saw the data. They realized that when they fed you fear, their stock prices went up. So they stopped reporting the news and started engineering narratives. Have you noticed how headlines have changed? They don't describe events anymore. They tell you how to feel about events. It's never Senator Smith disagrees with the bill. It's Senator Smith slams the bill, destroys the opposition, humiliates the critic. They turned politics and social issues into professional wrestling. It's us versus them, good versus evil. And if you aren't outraged, you aren't paying attention. This created a feedback loop from hell. The more angry content you consume, the more the algorithm thinks, oh, they love this. So it feeds you more. Suddenly, your Facebook feed, your YouTube recommendations, your entire digital existence is a mirror reflecting only the things that make you mad. You start to believe the world is falling apart. You start to believe the other side isn't just wrong, but evil. You stop seeing your neighbors as humans and start seeing them as enemies. But here's the twist. The world isn't actually getting more dangerous. Crime rates in many places are historically low. Global poverty is down, but you would never know that because good news doesn't sell ad space. You are living in a distortion field, a curated reality designed to keep you in a state of constant low-level panic. Why? Because a panicked brain doesn't think critically. It reacts. It buys the survival gear. It donates to the political campaign. It subscribes to the channel that promises to tell the real truth. The glitch isn't that the news is fake. It's that the incentive is fake. The goal isn't to inform you, it's to radicalize you just enough so you never change the channel. We are no longer citizens in a democracy. We are combatants in a war we didn't start, fighting over issues we barely understand, all to generate fraction of a cent revenue for a conglomerate that views our anxiety as a quarterly KPI. So we know they are doing it. We know why they are doing it, but here is the technical part. How exactly does this rewire your brain? Sociologists actually have a name for this condition. It was coined in the 1970s by a professor named George Gerbner. He called it mean world syndrome. Gerbner found a direct correlation. The more TV a person watched, the more likely they were to believe their neighborhood was unsafe, that crime was rising, and that most people cannot be trusted. Even when they lived in perfectly safe, boring suburbs, their brains were living in a war zone. Why? Because of a cognitive shortcut called the availability heuristic. Here is a simple analogy. Imagine you are afraid of shark attacks. Statistically, you are more likely to be killed by a falling vending machine or a cow than a shark. But here's the problem. When a cow kills a farmer, it doesn't make international headlines. CNN doesn't have breaking news with a 3D graphic of a killer cow. But when a shark bites someone, that is everywhere. It's on your phone, your feed, your TV for 3 days straight because you see the shark attack so clearly and so often, your brain tricks you into thinking it happens all the time. Your brain confuses visibility with probability. The news cycle operates on this exact flaw. Think of the world like a giant map. At any given second, 99.9% of that map is peaceful. People are eating breakfast, going to work, and walking their dogs. But the news camera is a spotlight that only shines on the 0.1% of the map that is on fire. If you only look at the spotlight, you think the whole world is burning. This creates a dangerous psychological state called learned helplessness. When you are bombarded with problems you can't solve, wars on the other side of the planet, economic collapses you can't control, your brain eventually gives up. You become passive. You become cynical. And this is the ultimate irony. The news claims to keep you informed so you can be a better citizen. But the data shows it does the exact opposite. It makes you isolated. It makes you trust your neighbors less. It makes you less likely to volunteer or help because you are too busy doom scrolling and waiting for the apocalypse. They haven't just sold you a distorted view of reality. They've sold you a version of the world where you are powerless. And powerless people are the easiest consumers to manipulate. So what is the verdict? Should you smash your TV, delete all your apps, and go live in a cave? No. Ignorance isn't the answer either. The solution is to treat information the same way you treat food. You wouldn't eat rotten meat just because it was free. You wouldn't drink poison just because it came in a shiny bottle. So why do you let toxic narratives into your brain just because they appear on your timeline? You have to become a conscious consumer. Recognize the junk food news, the outrage bait, the celebrity gossip, the political theater designed to make you scream, acknowledge it, and then scroll past. Starve the algorithm. The next time you feel that spike of anger, that sudden urge to type a furious comment, pause. Ask yourself, who benefits from this emotion? Is it me? Or is it a shareholder somewhere watching a graph go up? Your attention is the most valuable asset you own. It is the finite currency of your life. Stop giving it away cheaply to people who don't respect you. Reclaim your focus. Read books instead of headlines. Talk to your neighbors instead of arguing with bots. You will find that the world is a lot quieter and a lot kinder than they want you to believe. If you are tired of being a pawn in the outrage economy, and you want to understand the other games being played with your psychology and your wallet, then you are in the right place. We are building a library for the skeptics, for the people who want to see the strings behind the puppet show. Hit that subscribe button to join us. The system is complicated, but we're going to dismantle it one video at a time. I'll see you in the next one.